We're given a reminder that in Gotham City, a young Bruce Wayne watched his parents get murdered in an alley for the sake of Martha Wayne's pearls, and fleeing the funeral in his grief, discovers the bat-filled cave system under the family manor that leads to his future identity. Well, in modern day, it turns out Bruce was at ground zero in Metropolis back when Zod was reformatting the planet, and he personally experienced the cost of having Superman duke it out in the middle of the city, heading directly into danger on instinct to help his people. But the irreparable damage is done, and the cost is too high. Lois is still doing frontline journalism in the Sahara, interviewing warlords who, for some reason, have a private security firm that discovers her replacement photographer, Jimmy Olsen, is a CIA spy with a tracking device which gets him killed. It's allowed a US drone strike to pinpoint their location that Superman declines and handles personally in order to save Lois's life. Except that private security firm had also started killing the local militia and burning the bodies, getting one of the local women to give a false testament in the American Senate saying that Superman was, in fact, just casually murdering everyone. And at the memorials of those lost in the fight over Metropolis, not everyone sees Superman as their savior, especially Bruce's former employee who lost his legs in the attack. This threatens to stress Clark and Lois' undercover relationship back at home, but they manage to get over it in the bathtub, and then twice more in the bedroom. Meanwhile, over in Gotham, police discover a human trafficking ring, but the Batman is one step ahead of them, beating the living juice out of criminals and branding them with his mark. Back at the Batcave, Alfred is upgrading his armor, and Bruce is hunting after Anatoly, the Russian from that security firm, in order to find his boss who might be bringing a new weapon into the city. Superman's presence in the world has changed the stage, leaving people feeling powerless and turning good men cruel. So he hits up an underground fighting tournament and scans the guy's phone on the slide to discover he's working for billionaire wonderkind Lex Luthor. Stikky's found some kryptonite chunks as a result of Zod's world builder efforts, and discovering it's lethal to Kryptonians would like to weaponize it, needing an import license for a massive chunk that's been fished up in the Indian Ocean. The very thing Bruce was tracking, as well as also getting government access to the crashed Seed ship and Zod's corpse, all whilst acting like a twitchy dick the entire time. But Senator Finch knows a maniac when she sees one and blocks his efforts to import kryptonite. Lex, for some reason, invites Clark Kent to report on his charity benefit opening and Bruce Wayne as a guest who wants to be here anyway, so that he can hack into the LexCorp systems. Spotting a stunning lady on the way, Luthor gives an erratic crazy person speech, but his main plan was to put Bruce in the same room as Clark, who can tell that he's Batman, and overhear his secret conversations with Alfred. In fact, Clark thoroughly dislikes the repercussions of the Batman's increasingly cruel actions in Gotham. But before he can find out what's going on, there's a factory fire somewhere and people that need help. You see, since Man of Steel, people have really started to get used to worshipping Superman as their god hero and topic of hot debate. But instead of a colorful beacon of hope, he's taken on the role in a much more emo kind of way. Also, it looks like that mystery lady stole the LexCorp data before Bruce could retrieve it. So instead, Batman dreams of a post-apocalyptic Omega future where human renegades do their best to survive and scramble up some kryptonite, only to be undone by the horrendous otherworldly forces that bear Superman's mark as their evil god, who now kills people as a result of the death of Lois. Straight on the back of a second vision, which appears to be of the Flash trying to send a message back through time to warn him that Lois was the key all along. But he shakes it off and discovers from Anatoly's phone data that Lex is smuggling the kryptonite into the US anyway. Bruce is convinced that someone with the power of a god will inevitably abuse their position given enough time, and that a way to defeat them must be developed for the sake of humanity. While Lex via Anatoly is making sure that any criminals who bear Batman's mark are getting killed in prison, further antagonizing Clark's sense of true justice. Batman does a hard intercept for the kryptonite shipment in the Batmobile, slingshotting cars into each other and withstanding minigun fire to eviscerate bad guys in the chase, smashing like a tank through buildings, cars, boats, and dodging missile fire, only to be stopped at the last minute by bouncing off Superman, who's interrupting in order to give a cease and desist regarding his general nighttime activities, thinking that he's saving people from unlawful cruelty, which rubs Batman the wrong way. And that mystery lady is Diana Prince, who's good at antiquities but not so good at cracking the encryption on the LexCorp data she borrowed from Bruce, returning it instead and hoping he'll help her find a photo that belongs to her among the data. So Lex gets his kryptonite, and he's also gifted a custom wheelchair to the disgruntled victim who wants Superman to face the results of his actions, pleading his case to Senator Finch, who also wants Kal-El to come to court. So after a chat with his mom about what to do, he decides to attend and answer their questions. But during the opening speech, the senator realizes Lex is ominously absent, but too late as the lead line custom wheelchair explodes, killing everyone. Another setup to psychologically tarnish Superman's presence and free up Lex from that pesky Senate oversight, While also being pushed by false information planted by Lex, this bombing tips Batman into raiding LexCorp and stealing the kryptonite off-screen in order to deal with the alien threat himself. He goes into some serious training and uses the ore to make custom anti-Superman weapons, as well as discovering that Lex had been keeping tabs on a number of unique individuals in the data, including the antiquity specialist he met earlier. So why did Lex want that siege ship access from earlier? Why? To use the Genesis chamber and Zod's corpse mixed with his own genetic DNA to break Kryptonian convention and create a super being of his own. Meanwhile, Lois has been doing her own investigating, following the trail of the custom bullets Natalie's men used to kill the villagers in the Sahara to discover, with the help of now Secretary of Defense Swanwick, that they lead back to LexCorp R&D, and that it's in fact the same material used in the chair bomb. Lex has been trying to undermine Superman with death wherever he goes. In fact, he even goes as far as to have Martha Kent and Lois kidnapped so that he can push one of them off a rooftop in order to get Superman's attention. Martha is in a secret location that even Lex doesn't know and demands that Superman goes and kills Batman to tarnish his reputation, otherwise she'll be killed. Lex glories at bending a god to his will. And so, with both heroes emotionally compromised, Batman in his new powered mech suit lights his beacon. He believes that killing the God-Man is the only way to spare the future of humanity from his inevitable corruption and won't even listen to Superman's plea to talk, interrupting him with sonic attacks and gunfire, which is easily dealt with. You see, there's quite a big gap between their power levels, and Superman is doing his best to keep it cool and have a conversation. But Batman fires a kryptonite gas grenade that levels the playing field as Superman breathes in the fumes, temporarily lowering the bar so that they can both punch over it. Kal-El takes a pounding through the abandoned structures until he works the gas out of his system and starts to get his mojo back, but not his intelligence, as Batman just hits him with another dose and then with a sink. He is in fact directing the flow of the fight down to the lower levels and smashing the reduced Kryptonian through marble pillars over to where he was keeping the kryptonite spear. In the moment of the killing blow, Superman coughs out the one reason he had come here, to save Martha. This stops Bruce in his tracks, and Lois arrives just in time to confirm that Martha is also his mother's name as well. Wayne finally starts to wake up to what's going on. The death of his own parents was the foundation that drove him to become the Bat, and he finally sees Superman as someone with a family of his own. Realizing this whole thing is Lex Luthor's doing, not to mention that his siege ship bio-experiment is drawing power from the rest of Metropolis, so Superman will head over there where he's needed, while Batman promises to save Martha for him. Flying over in the Batwing to her location over in the port, he proceeds to Batman the absolute out of everyone with a little misdirection and grim, powerful blows, viscerally taking down the entire private military unit and playing hide the knife before blowing Natalie's flame tank and covering Martha from the blast. Lex, however, is finished cooking and announces the birth of Doomsday, a horrifically strong super monster that's smashing up everybody and everything, with destructive energy waves. Having learned his lesson about collateral damage, Superman beats it straight up into space and away from innocent people. But rather unhelpfully, the president takes this as an opportunity to fire a nuclear missile at both of them, causing the beast to re-enter the atmosphere and land just off the bay, where it grows only more powerful from the nuclear energy, while Superman is near death in space, recovering slowly in the sun's radiation. Batman flies in to get its attention and lure it back over to where the Kryptonian spear was. However, Doomsday is too dangerous to be toying with, and the Batwing is downed with the Dark Knight about to get roasted. But he's saved at the last moment by Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, who stands toe-to-toe with the monster after keeping an eye on the unfolding events until Superman rejoins the fight, and the two godlike figures do their best to keep the pressure up on the monster. Batman's also there, but their combined powers still isn't enough. So, at great cost, Superman retrieves the spear from Lois even as it poisons him. And while Wonder Woman has it tied down, flies it directly into Doomsday, which skewers him in return. Clark, instead of evading the blow, accepts it in order to kill the monster and save the Earth again before he dies. And so the army finds Lex back in the siege ship, absorbing its cosmic library, including stuff about Steppenwolf and Mother Boxes. He's promptly sent to prison where he gets a haircut, while all the world mourns the death of Superman, finally showing a little appreciation. Clark Q is mourned as loss, and on the Kent farm, many familiar faces give their respects to Martha's son. Bruce and Diana watch from a distance. He failed Superman in life but won't fail him in death. They have to find the other people with superpowers on Lex Luthor's report because the bell has already been rung. There are other monsters out there among the stars that know the Earth has lost its protector. The rest have to unite and form some sort of league. Here we come to end of our video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our video. Thanks for watching.